I have secretly loved my childhood sweetheart for many years, but never had the courage to confess. The only way left was to take a roundabout path and court her best friend first. The day I arranged to meet her best friend in the piano room, the one who pushed open the door and walked in was none other than the girl I longed for day and night. The girl who was always cold suddenly pinned me against the piano, her eyes red and teary, like a little milk cat that had been terribly wronged. Fang Zheng, in your eyes, there can only be me from now on, okay? My name is Fang Zheng, just an ordinary student in the computer science department of Giant University. The only thing that is not ordinary about me is probably having a childhood sweetheart, someone I grew up with since we both wore open crotch pants together. Bai Rusu Wei. This girl has a face that could topple kingdoms. Skin whiter than snow, arched eyebrows and crescent eyes. When she smiles, there are two shallow dimples. Yet her personality is icy cold. She speaks so little it's almost pitiful. The very image of a snow lotus that can only be admired from afar. But only I know. When she puts on a cold face, her ear tips turn red very easily. When someone hits her, she secretly clenches the corner of her clothes. And she has a little secret she has hidden for over 10 years. She is terrified of thunder. From childhood to now, we have never been apart. Born in the same maternity hospital, attended the same kindergarten, elementary school and middle school, and now we both got into Giant University. She is the flower of the arts department, plays the piano beautifully. Wherever she goes, she carries her own halo of light. While my grades are average, my looks are average, my only merit is probably my stamina. I can follow behind her for more than 10 years without ever growing tired. This secret love is nothing but tears when spoken of. I never dared confess to her, afraid that piercing that paper window would mean we couldn't even remain friends. Even more afraid that in her eyes I had never existed from the very beginning. More than 10 years by her side. In her eyes, I was merely the natural childhood friendship that was supposed to be there. Until last month, I saw a photo together in her moments. In the picture she was standing with the hot guy from the arts department. A perfect match of talent and beauty. So perfectly paired it hurt to look at. That night I tossed and turned unable to sleep. My mind filled with images of the two of them. After thinking it over, I concluded that to get close to Bai Rushu, I had to start with the people around her first. Her best friend is called Nien, and Nien and Bai Rushu Wei are complete opposites. Lively and outgoing, warm as fire, and a gossip expert. There is nothing big or small happening in school that she doesn't know. I calculated that if I could win over Nien, have her whisper a few sweet words into Bai Ruku's ear when they lay together, perhaps my secret love might finally bloom and bear fruit. That afternoon, I waited downstairs at the arts building. Finally I caught Bai Rushu. She had just finished piano class, carrying her piano bag on her back, long hair cascading over her shoulders. The sunset bathed her in a golden glow. My heart skipped half a beat at the sight. What is it? She stopped walking, her voice clear and cold. Yet toward me, there was a faint softness hard to notice. I gathered myself, trying to appear more natural. Well, Bai Rushue, I need a favor. She raised an eyebrow, signaling me to continue. Help me ask Nien to come to the piano room tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. I have something to tell her. I tried to make my voice sound casual, but my palms were soaked with sweat. Bai Rusho's gaze lingered on my face for 3 seconds. Those eyes seemed to see right through my thoughts, making me a little flustered. She is 1.68 meters, even in flat shoes, only half a head shorter than me. At this moment, she slightly lifted her head to look at me, yet somehow gave off a towering pressure. What do you want with her? She pressed, her voice carrying an emotion I couldn't quite grasp. Just to get to know her. I want her advice on a few things about the arts department. I made up a flimsy excuse. Even I felt it sounded weak. Bai Rushui said nothing, only looked at me silently, staring, until I felt uncomfortable all over. I was about to find another excuse to patch things up, when she suddenly nodded. Okay, my heart leaped with joy. I was just about to say thank you, when she added, but I have one condition. Name it, anything I can do. I'll agree. I hurriedly showed my stance. Tomorrow morning come with me to buy cat food for Meow Meow. Her ear tips quietly turned red as she spoke. Meow Meow is the stray cat we adopted together in high school, now living in the apartment I rent off campus. Since starting university, I mostly take care of it in my spare time. She only drops by occasionally to see it. No problem, I agreed instantly. My heart was celebrating to be alone with her. Forget buying cat food, even if it meant climbing mountains of knives or plunging into seas of fire. I would do it willingly. Bai Rushui said no more, turned and walked away. Watching her retreating back, I couldn't help clenching my fists, silently cheering myself on. Feng Zheng, you can do this. The first step has succeeded. The bond between me and Bai Rushui goes all the way back to when we were in diapers. Our families are neighbors. My mother and her mother are best friends. They even chose the same day to give birth. I was born 3 hours earlier than her, so her mother always told her to call me Big Brother Zhang. But this girl has been stubborn since childhood. She would rather call me by my full name than utter one Big Brother. Little Bai Rushu was not as cold as she is now. She was very lively, like a little tail, always running after me. When I climbed trees to catch bird nests, she waited under the tree. When I went down to the river to catch fish, she stood watch over my clothes if someone bullied her. I was always the first to rush forward and fight them, even if I ended up with a bruised nose and swollen face. I had to protect her. I remember once in 3rd grade, a boy in class snatched her pen and mocked her for being a child without a father's love. Her father worked overseas all year round. Bai Rusu didn't cry. She only pressed her lips together, her eyes red. That moment I lost it. I charged forward and fought that boy. In the end, both of us were called to the office for criticism. When we came out, Bai Rushui handed me a strawberry candy, softly saying, "Fang Zheng, thank you." That was the first time I saw her, so gentle. My heart felt sweet, sweeter than the candy itself. From then on, I silently vowed to protect her for the rest of my life. In middle school, Bai Rushui started learning piano. Every day after school, she had to practice for 2 hours in the piano room. I was worried about her going alone, so every day I waited outside the piano room, sometimes doing homework, sometimes lying on the windowsill watching her play. Sunlight streamed through the window onto her. Her fingers danced numbly across the keys, like a sprite dancing. That image is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. In high school, Bai Rushui grew even more beautiful and ethereal. All kinds of suitors began appearing around her. Some gave flowers, some wrote love letters, some even asked me to pass gifts to her. Each time I handed them over with an unchanged expression, but inside, I was bitterly jealous. She rejected every single suitor with cold indifference. Only toward me did she keep a trace of special treatment. When I got injured playing basketball, she would quietly hand me a bandage. When I stayed up late studying, she would bring me a cup of hot milk. On my birthday, she would personally draw a painting for me. These little things made me feel that perhaps her feelings for me were different from others. But every time I wanted to confess, the words reached my lips and I swallowed them back. I was afraid I was mistaken, afraid of ruining this hard-won friendship, especially after the college entrance exam. She received her acceptance letter to the arts department of Giant University, and I luckily got into the computer science department of Giant University. The day we received the letters, my brother, who is 10 years older than me, married Bai Rushui's cousin. He patted my shoulder and said, "You little fool, don't miss such a perfect chance." My brother and Bai Rushui's cousin were university classmates. They dated for 8 years before marrying last year. My brother always said that he was able to marry a beauty was all thanks to his thick skin and persistence. But I didn't have his courage. Facing Bai Rushui, I was always helpless. Now, in university, Bai Rushui became even more popular. Not only is she beautiful, she plays piano wonderfully, and ranks at the top of her class. The perfect goddess scholar. The guys chasing her in school could line up from the arts department all the way to computer science. Among them, the strongest rival is the hot guy from the arts department. Rumor has it he's a rich second generation, pursuing her fiercely. I watched him bring her breakfast and flowers every day. My heart burned like ants on a hot pan, but I could do nothing. Until one day, in the cafeteria, I saw Bai Rushu accept the milk tea he offered. That moment I completely panicked, and that very day, I came up with the plan to court Nian. And Nian is Bai Rushui's best friend, her dorm mate. If I could win over Nian, I could learn Bai Rushui's likes and dislikes, and have her put in a few good words for me in front of Bai Rushui. For this plan, I even specially asked for advice from my roommate and good brother. Shi Yang is tall and sturdy, built like a tiger with a bear's waist, looks rough, but is actually a master of love, changes girlfriends faster than clothes. After hearing my plan, he slapped his thigh and said, "Brilliant, Fang Zheng, this roundabout strategy of yours is masterful. But a Nian isn't simple. You'll have to put in some real effort. Then teach me a few moves." I hurriedly asked. First, you need to know her interests. I heard Nhi loves sweets. Especially the tiramisu from the cake shop in front of the school gate. You can bring her one every day. Second, you have to appear sincere. Don't let her see your real purpose in the end. And most importantly, you have to let Bai Rushui know you're pursuing a Nian. Stimulate her a little. Who knows, she might get anxious. Shi Yang's words made a lot of sense. I felt he was right, so I followed his suggestions. Every day after class, I would detour to the cake shop in front of the school, buy a tiramisu and give it to Nian. At first, Nian was quite surprised. Later she got used to it, and even chatted with me a little. I could feel that Bai Rushu was somewhat unhappy about me getting close to Nian. Several times when I gave Nian the cake, I could see Bai Rushui standing not far away, her face icy, cold, a trace of unwillingness in her eyes. Once right after I handed the cake to Nian and was about to leave, Bai Rushui suddenly walked over and said to Anin, we have to go practice piano now. And Nian glanced at me, then at Bai Rushui, smiled and said all right. And they left just like that. Before leaving, Bai Rushui shot me a look, her tone calm. Fang Zheng, you don't need to bring sweets for Nian every day anymore, she's on a diet lately. I was stunned for a moment, thinking Nian isn't even fat. What diet? But I still nodded okay. I understand. Watching their backs as they walked away shoulder to shoulder, a trace of loss filled my heart. The stimulation Shi Yang mentioned seemed to have no effect. Instead, it made Bai Rushui even colder toward me. But I didn't give up. To understand Bai Rushu better, I even specially followed her moments, studied every post she made. I discovered she likes watching sci-fi movies, likes listening to classical music, and likes growing plants. Once I saw on her moments, she posted a photo of a plant, with the caption, "It finally bloomed." I recognized it as a succulent, called jade dew. I immediately searched online how to care for jade dew, then ran to the flower shop and bought one, planning to give it to her. But when I actually stood under her dorm, I hesitated. I was afraid she wouldn't accept it, also afraid others would see and say I was a toad lusting after swan meat. After much thought, I still gave the succulent to Nian, asking her to pass it to Bai Rushui. And Nian smiled and said, Fang Zheng, you're really too attentive to Rushui. Do you like her? My heart jumped. I hurriedly waved no, I just thought this plant was pretty. She'll probably like it. And Nian giggled and glanced at me. All right, I'll help you pass it on. But let me tell you, Ruxuwei has very high standards. Ordinary people can't catch her eye. I smiled without speaking. I know her standards are high, but I just can't let go. Actually, between me and Bai Rushu there is another little secret. The summer vacation after the college entrance exam, one night there was heavy rain and thunder. I knew Bai Rushuwei was afraid of thunder, so I braved the rain and ran to her house. Sure enough, the lights in her home were still on. I saw her sitting by the window, her face pale, eyes filled with fear. I tapped on her window. She was stunned when she saw me, then opened the window. Why are you here? Her voice trembled slightly. I know you're afraid of thunder. I came to keep you company. I smiled and said. That night I stayed in her room the whole night. We sat on the sofa and talked about many things. She told me she actually admired me a lot, my outgoing personality, having so many friends. While she had been introverted since young, not good at interacting with others, she also said her father was overseas all year. Her relationship with her mother wasn't good. She had many grievances in her heart, but no one to tell. I listened quietly, my heart aching. I wanted to hug her, comfort her, but in the end I held back, afraid of startling her. Also afraid of ruining this rare closeness. That night, she fell asleep leaning on my shoulder. I smelled the faint fragrance in her hair, the scent of the shampoo she always used. Very comforting. I didn't dare move, afraid of waking her. In that moment, I felt like the happiest person in the world. From then on, I became even more certain that if it wasn't her I would marry no one. But reality is always cruel. She still kept a certain distance from me. Not too far, not too close. Not cold, not warm. I knew in her heart I probably existed, but more as dependence and habit, rather than love. To make her see her own heart clearly, to give myself a chance, I decided to stick to the original plan. Invite Nin to meet in the piano room. I wanted Bai Rushu to know that I could like someone else too, that it didn't have to be her. The next morning, as agreed, I went with Bai Rushu to buy cat food. We went to a pet shop in the city center. The shop had many breeds of cats, all incredibly cute. The moment Bai Rushue entered, she was drawn to a ragdoll cat, squatting in front of the cage, her eyes gentle as she looked at it, a soft smile on her lips. Seeing her like that, my heart melted. I took out my phone, secretly snapped a photo of her. In the picture, her brows arched and eyes smiled. Her smile, sweet, like an angel descended to earth. "Do you like it?" I asked softly. She nodded. Quite cute. "Then let's buy it." I smiled and said. She shook her head no. Meow Meow would get jealous. I smiled, said nothing more. I knew she still missed Meow Meow deep down. After buying the cat food, we went together to my rented apartment. The moment Meow Meow saw Bai Rushu, it immediately ran over, rubbing against her legs, meowing like it was acting spoiled. Bai Ruxue squatted down, gently stroking Meow Meow's head, her movements extremely tender. Watching her play with Meow Meow, a thought suddenly arose in my heart. If in the future we could live together, raise Meow Meow together, live a simple ordinary life, how wonderful that would be. But the moment the thought appeared, I crushed it down. I knew it was just my wishful thinking. At noon I kept her for lunch. I made sweet and sour ribs and tomato scrambled eggs, her absolute favorites. She ate very little, but ate very seriously. "Is it good?" I asked nervously. She nodded. "Quite good." Receiving her affirmation, my heart celebrated. After eating she helped me wash the dishes, then prepared to leave. Before leaving, she suddenly said to me, "Fang Zheng, 2 o'clock this afternoon, the piano room, don't forget." I was stunned. Wasn't it supposed to be an Anin? She didn't answer, only looked at me once, turned and left, watching her back. My heart was filled with confusion. What did she mean by that? Could it be she was coming in Anian's place? At 1:50 in the afternoon I was already waiting in the piano room. The piano rooms are exclusive to the arts department. Excellent soundproofing. Inside, there are more than a dozen brand new pianos. I booked the last room, the one Bai Rushue usually practices in. I sat in front of the piano, my fingers unconsciously tapping the keys, my heart restless. I didn't know why Bai Rushue had come instead of Anian, nor what she wanted to say to me. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door was pushed open. Bai Rushue walked in, wearing a white dress, long hair flowing, holding a small purse. She froze when she saw me, then reached out and closed the door, and even locked it from the inside. "Why is it you wears an Ainin?" I tried to stay calm and ask. She didn't answer, only walked toward me step by step. Her steps were slow, yet carried an irresistible aura. I could smell the faint fragrance on her, exactly the same as that night, making me a little flustered. The piano room wasn't large. In just a few steps, she stood before me. She slightly lifted her head to look at me, her eyes red and teary, as if she had suffered a great grievance. "Fang Zheng, why did you look for Anin?" Her voice trembled slightly, her eyes filled with confusion and hurt. I just wanted her advice on a few things. I didn't dare meet her eyes. Lowering my head and said, "Advice? What kind of advice requires you to bring her sweets every day, and even ask to meet her alone in the piano room?" She pressed her voice, carrying a hint of anger. I was rendered speechless by her questions. I didn't know how to explain. Could I really tell her that I only approached Anian to win her over? "Fang Zheng, look at me." She gently lifted my chin with her hand, forcing me to raise my head and look at her. Her fingers were cool, touching my skin, making me shiver. I looked at her red eyes. My heart suddenly ached. I knew I had hurt her. "I like you." These words I had kept in my heart for over 10 years, finally burst out at this moment. Bai Rushu froze. The hand lifting my chin loosened. She looked at me, her eyes filled with shock and disbelief. "Since 3rd grade, when you gave me that strawberry candy, I have liked you." Taking a deep breath, gathering all my courage, I continued. "I never dared confess to you. Afraid you would reject me. Afraid we couldn't even be friends. I saw you getting close to the arts department hot guy. I panicked. I was afraid of losing you. That's why I approached Anian. Wanted to understand your heart through her. Wanted you to know I could like someone else too." I said everything in one breath, feeling as if a 1,000-pound weight had been lifted. I looked at Bai Rushu, waiting for her answer. She was silent for a very long time, her eyes growing redder. Finally, a tear fell from the corner of her eye, landing on the back of my hand. "You idiot," she choked out. "I thought you knew." I was stunned. "Knew what?" "Knew that I like you." She sniffled, her voice carrying sobs. Since middle school when you waited for me outside the piano room. Since high school when you fought for me. Since that rainy night after the exam when you stayed with me. I already liked you. I was completely dumbfounded. My mind blank. I never imagined she liked me too. Then why didn't you tell me? My voice trembled too. I reached to wipe her tears, but was afraid of overstepping. Bai Rushuwei turned her face away, her shoulders shaking slightly. I was scared, I was afraid if I said it you wouldn't treasure me anymore. My parents were like that, so passionately in love when young. And didn't they still end up apart? Your brother always said you were too slow. Didn't understand a girl's heart. I didn't believe him. Before she could finish, I pulled her tightly into my arms. I held her so tightly, feeling her soft body, smelling the faint fragrance in her hair. My own eyes instantly reddened. Idiot, how could I not treasure you? I whispered in her ear. My voice choked. I have liked you for over 10 years. Even in my dreams I wanted to be with you. I was afraid you looked down on me. Afraid I wasn't worthy of you. Afraid there was no place for me in your heart. Bai Rushuwei in my arms stopped struggling. Instead, she hugged me back, her hands clutching my shirt tightly, like grasping at a life-saving straw. The piano room was very quiet. Only our breathing could be heard, and her muffled sobs. I gently patted her back, comforting her. But inside my heart was like an overturned jar of honey, so sweet it was overwhelming. I don't know how long we embraced. Only when Bai Rushuwei gradually calmed down, did she lift her head from my chest, her eyes still red, like a little milk cat that had been wronged, the tip of her nose also red, utterly adorable. I couldn't help reaching out to gently pinch the tip of her nose. No more crying from now on. If you cry again you won't be pretty. She glared at me, but didn't push my hand away. Instead, she slightly lifted her head, and softly kissed my cheek. That kiss was like electricity, coursing through my entire body. I froze, my heart pounding, as if it wanted to leap out of my chest. Bai Rushuwei's ears instantly turned bright red. She quickly lowered her head, not daring to look at me. I like you. Fang Zheng. Will you be my boyfriend? Yes, I agreed without a second thought. My voice so loud it nearly pierced the piano room ceiling. Yes, 100 times yes. 1,000 times yes. In my excitement, I lifted her up, spinning her around several times. Bai Rushuwei let out a surprised cry, her arms wrapping tightly around my neck, a radiant smile blooming on her face. That smile was more dazzling than the sun. When I set her down, her cheeks were flushed, her eyes carried shyness and sweetness. I looked at her, couldn't help lowering my head and kissing her lips. Her lips were soft, cool with a faint sweetness. I kissed her carefully, as if cherishing the rarest treasure in the world. At first, she was a little stiff, then gradually relaxed, closing her eyes and responding to my kiss. The air in the piano room became thick with intimacy. Sunlight streamed through the window, falling upon us, warm and beautiful. Just then, my hand accidentally pressed the piano keys, producing a chaotic string of notes, shattering the perfect atmosphere. Bai Rushuwei, startled, quickly broke free from my embrace. Her face so red it could drip blood. She lowered her head to smooth her dress, not daring to look at me. Seeing her shy appearance, I couldn't help laughing out loud. She raised her head and glared. What are you laughing at? Laughing at how cute you are. I smiled and said, reaching out to hold her hand. Her hand was cool. I held it tightly, wanting to pass some warmth to her. Her hand trembled slightly, but she didn't pull away. Let me hold it. By the way, how did you know I asked Nhi to meet here? I suddenly remembered and asked curiously. Bai Rushuwei pouted. That Nhi can't keep a secret about anything. When you asked me to set it up for her, she had already secretly told me, and said she wanted to help. You put on a little play to stimulate me. I was stunned for a moment. Then it all clicked. So Nhi had known my feelings all along, and helped me act out this drama. And you still went along with her. I smiled and asked. I just wanted to see how bold you really were. She lifted her head and looked at me, a mischievous glint in her eyes. I never expected you would actually dare ask her out. You've got some guts. I scratched my head, smiling sheepishly. Wasn't it because you forced me? Who told you to be so cold to me? And so close with that arts department hot guy? When was I ever close with him? Bai Rushuwei frowned. He kept pestering me. I clearly rejected him several times already. I even returned that milk tea to him later. Really, my eyes lit up. Of course, it's true. She rolled her eyes at me. In my heart there is only you. How could I fall for anyone else? Hearing her words, sweetness flooded my heart. I couldn't help pulling her into another embrace. When we left the piano room, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. The sun was setting in the west, golden sunset light scattered across the campus paths, stretching our shadows, long and far. I held Bai Rushui's hand and walked slowly, her hand soft and cool. I held it tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear. Along the way we met many classmates. Seeing us holding hands, they all showed shocked expressions. After all, one was the cold flower of the arts department, the other, an ordinary computer science student. No one expected us to end up together. Some guys, seeing Bai Rushui holding my hand, had eyes full of jealousy and unwillingness. Some even whispered among themselves. I didn't care. Instead, I held Bai Rushui's hand even tighter. Bai Rushu seemed to feel the surrounding gazes, a little uncomfortable, wanting to pull her hand back, but I wouldn't let her. I bent down and said to her, "Don't be afraid. From now on, I will protect you. No one can bully you." She lifted her head and looked at me, her eyes filled with emotion, gently nodding, no longer struggling. When we returned to campus, we happened to run into Shi Yang and An Yen. Shi Yang saw us holding hands. His eyes widened. He ran over. "Oh my God, Fang Zheng, you're amazing. You really won the flower." And An Yin also smiled and walked over congratulating Ruxue. "Congratulations. You finally tamed our block of wood." Bai Rushue's cheeks turned pink. She said nothing, only leaned a little closer to me. I smiled and said, "Thank you both for your help. Tonight, it's my treat. Order whatever you want." "Great. Great." Shi Yang immediately agreed. "I want the hot pot at the shop in front of the school. It's been so long." "No problem," I readily agreed. And An Yin looked at Shi Yang, then at me, smiled and said, "Looks like I did pretty well as matchmaker. Shouldn't you give me a big red envelope?" "Of course." I laughed. "Tonight I'll give you a huge one." The 4 of us went together to the hot pot place in front of the school. Shi Yang and An Yen sat on one side, me and Bai Rushue on the other. During the meal, Shi Yang kept putting food into An Yen's bowl, his eyes carrying a tenderness hard to notice. Though An Yen said with her mouth, "No need, I can get it myself." A sweet smile bloomed on her face. Watching how they interacted, I understood. So Shi Yang likes An Yen too. He just hasn't said it yet. I gently nudged Bai Rushui with my elbow, whispering, "Look at Shi Yang and An Yen. Don't they seem a little off?" Bai Rushui glanced at them, nodded. I noticed it long ago. Shi Yang has feelings for An Yen. I just don't know what An Yen really thinks. But I feel she also likes Shi Yang. I smiled and said, "Look at how gently she gazes at Shi Yang." Bai Rushu only smiled without adding anything. She simply picked up a piece of beef tripe for me. "Eat quickly, or it won't taste good once it gets cold." I looked at her, my heart filled with warmth, picked up the tripe and devoured it. After we finished eating, Shi Yang took the initiative to offer to walk An Yen back to the dorm. An Yen didn't refuse. She nodded and followed him. Watching their retreating backs, Bai Rushue and I exchanged a smile. I walked Bai Rushue to the bottom of her dormitory building. Just before leaving, she suddenly hugged me. "Fang Zheng, thank you." "Thank me for what?" I asked with a smile. "Thank you for liking me. Thank you for being willing to stay by my side." She whispered in my ear, "Idiot. The one who should say thank you is me." I held her tightly. "Thank you for liking me too. Thank you for giving me this chance." We hugged for a long time again. Only then did she reluctantly let go, turned and ran into the building. Watching her back disappear, my heart overflowed with happiness. I knew this was only the beginning of our love. There was still a very long road ahead, but I would always be by her side, protect her, love her, forever. Ever since I officially became Bai Rushue's boyfriend, my life turned upside down in the best way. Before, every day was just classes, eating, playing games, writing code. Now, she was part of my life. Every day became full and meaningful. Though Bai Rusue had a cold personality, as a girlfriend, she was surprisingly attentive. Every morning, she would wait for me downstairs at my dorm first, bringing me a warm breakfast. Sometimes soy milk and fried dough sticks. Sometimes steamed buns with thin porridge. All things I loved to eat. At lunch and dinner, we always ate together in the cafeteria. She knew I liked spicy food, so she always ordered spicy hot pot for me, while ordering something light for herself. While eating, she would keep putting food into my bowl, her eyes full of tender affection. On afternoons without classes, we would study together in the library. She sat across from me quietly reading, occasionally lifting her head to glance at me, gifting me a sweet smile. That alone was enough to fill me with motivation. In the evenings I walked her back to her dorm. We would chat downstairs for a while, sometimes about funny things happening at school, sometimes about our future plans, sometimes saying nothing at all, just looking at each other silently, and still feeling perfectly happy. Shi Yang often teased me, saying I had become exactly like a henpecked husband, revolving around Bai Rushu every single day, not even playing games anymore. I smiled and said being able to revolve around the person I love is the greatest happiness. Shi Yang pouted, whatever. You value your lover over your friends, but honestly, ever since you and Bai Rushui got together, you've really changed a lot. You used to be so quiet, now there's always a smile on your face. Your whole aura has become brighter. I just smiled without replying. I knew it was all thanks to Bai Rushui. She made my life more colorful. She made me more confident. She let me experience the beauty of love. But our love wasn't always smooth sailing. The arts department hot guy, that rich second generation who chased Bai Rushui, after learning we were together, kept finding ways to make trouble for me. Once while I was eating in the cafeteria, he deliberately bumped into me with a few friends, spilling an entire bowl of soup on my clothes. Oops, sorry, he said with an indifferent face, his eyes full of provocation. I frowned, but said nothing. I didn't want to argue over something small, and affect Bai Rushui's mood. But he pushed further. Fang Zheng, right. I advise you to stay away from Bai Rushu. Look at yourself, so average. Your family background is average too. How are you worthy of her? His words stabbed my heart like needles. I admitted I really was very average. My family was very average. Compared to him, I was indeed far inferior. Just when I didn't know what to do, Bai Rushue walked over. She immediately stepped in front of me, coldly staring at Zhang Hao. Don't go too far. When Zhang Hao saw Bai Rushu, his face instantly lit up with a smile. Rushue, I'm just reminding him. He's not worthy of you. If you stay with him you'll only suffer. I'm willing to suffer if it's with him. Bai Rushue's voice was firm. Zhang Hao, I've rejected you many times already. Please stop disturbing our lives from now on. Otherwise I'll have no choice but to report you to the teachers. Zhang Hao's face immediately turned ugly. He glared at me fiercely, then left with his friends. Watching his retreating back, I felt terrible inside. I held Bai Rushue's hand. Sorry, I made you suffer because of me. Bai Rusue shook her head and looked at me, her eyes full of determination. No suffering at all. Fang Zheng, in my heart, you are the best. You are kind, sincere, responsible. These things matter far more than money or looks. I love you not because of how outstanding you are, but simply because you are you. Her words were like warm water soothing my heart. I squeezed her hand tightly. Rushue, thank you. I will work hard to become better, to give you a happy life. I believe in you. She smiled, her eyes filled with trust. After that, Zhang Hao rarely bothered us again. I knew it was all thanks to Bai Rushu. She made me feel protected. She gave me the drive to move forward. Besides being provoked by Zhang Hao, we also encountered a small misunderstanding. My older brother Fang Ming and Bai Rushui's cousin Su Yue, after getting married, were still very much in love. They were thrilled when they learned we were together, and even specially invited us out for a meal. During dinner, my brother patted my shoulder and said, "You little rascal, you finally learned to use your brain. Rushue is a wonderful girl. You have to treat her well. Never bully her, or I won't let you off." Bai Rushu's cousin also smiled and said, "Rushu, Fang Zheng may be a bit slow, but he's very dependable, and truly sincere toward you. Your brother and I are completely reassured about you too." We smiled and nodded, but not long after my brother came looking for me, his face serious. "Little rascal, did you do something excessive to Rusu?" I was stunned. No way. How would I dare do anything excessive to her? Then why has she seemed so heavy-hearted lately? My brother frowned. Su Yue said Rushu has been spacing out a lot recently, and often sighing. No matter how we ask, she won't say. My heart tightened. I quickly said, "I didn't know. She never told me." Did I make her angry somehow? My brother pressed. Girls have very delicate feelings. If you did something wrong, hurry and apologize to her. I shook my head. No, really. Lately, I've been very obedient to her. I haven't upset her. Though I said that, I was still extremely worried. My brother said, "Really? Has Bai Rushu truly been down lately? Did I do something wrong that made her unhappy? That evening when I walked Bai Rushue back, I couldn't help asking Rushu, have you been worried about something lately? Bai Rushue looked at me startled. No, why? My brother said you seemed heavy-hearted recently, and often sigh. I looked into her eyes. Did I do something wrong? That made you unhappy? If I did, you have to tell me. I'll change. Bai Rushue gazed at me, her eyes filled with surprise and emotion. Your brother told you. I nodded. She smiled, gently ruffled my hair. Idiot. I'm not unhappy. I don't have any worries. I was just thinking, where we'll work after graduation, which city we'll settle in. I was stunned for a moment, then instantly understood. So she was anxious about our future. That's all it was. I smiled. I thought I did something wrong, and made you unhappy. Of course not. She shook her head. I'm just a little lost. Not sure what the future holds. Don't worry, I'm here. I took her hand, my eyes firm. After graduation, I'll work hard to find a good job. Work hard to earn money. Whatever city you want, we'll go there. Whatever you want to do, I'll support you. I'll give you a warm home. Bai Rushue looked at me, her eyes slightly red. Fang Zhang, thank you. Why so formal with me? I smiled. We're lovers. We'll spend our whole lives together. Your future is my future. She nodded, a sweet smile blooming on her face. From then on, we often discussed our future plans together. We agreed that after graduation we would both go to Shanghai to build our lives. I would work as a programmer at an internet company. She would become a piano teacher at an art school. We would buy a small apartment in Shanghai, raise a cat and a dog, live a simple yet happy life. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, graduation was near. Over these past years, we had gone through so much together. Joy, sadness, sweetness, bitterness. But we overcame everything side by side. Our love grew deeper through every experience. Shi Yang and An Nin also became a couple. After graduation, Shi Yang planned to start his own business, and Nian decided to strive alongside him. Watching them, I genuinely felt happy for them. The day before graduation, the school held a farewell gala. Bai Rushu, as the arts department representative, would perform piano at the event. That day, the auditorium was packed. When Bai Rushue appeared in a white evening gown, sitting before the grand piano, the entire hall fell silent. Her fingers danced gracefully across the keys, melody flowing from her fingertips like a clear mountain spring, gentle as moonlight. Everyone was immersed in her music, unable to pull themselves away. I sat in the front row, watching her shine on stage, my heart bursting with pride. This was my girlfriend, the girl I had loved for over 10 years. The girl I had cherished for years. When the piece ended, thunderous applause filled the hall. Bai Rushue stood and bowed to the audience, then looked toward me, her face blooming with a radiant smile. I smiled back at her, my eyes holding only her. After the gala, I found Bai Rushu backstage. She was removing her makeup. Seeing me, she smiled. You're here? Yes. I walked over and hugged her from behind. You played beautifully. I'm so proud of you. She turned to look at me. Really? Of course. I smiled. You're the best. She smiled, gave me a light kiss on the cheek. Thank you. Fang Zheng, thank you for always being by my side. Supporting me. Idiot, why so formal with me? I held her. From now on I'll always be by your side, supporting you. Your strongest pillar. We embraced backstage for a long time, feeling each other's warmth and heartbeat. Graduation day. The weather was beautiful. Golden sunlight everywhere. We wore our graduation gowns, taking commemorative photos all over campus. Bai Ruxue and I held hands, from the lecture halls to the library, from the sports field to the lake. Every corner held our figures and our smiles. Shi Yang and An Nin were with us too. The four of us laughed and played, the air filled with youth and the bittersweet taste of parting. I can't believe 4 years passed so quickly. Shi Yang sighed, camera in hand, constantly taking photos of An Nin. An Nin rolled her eyes at him. Yes, after this we won't be able to go to class together every day, or eat together in the cafeteria. It's fine. We can still meet up often. I smiled. Anyway, we're all going to Shanghai. We can live close to each other, look out for one another. Great, great. And Enhin immediately agreed. I want to be neighbors with Rushu, shop together every day, eat delicious food together. Bai Rushu smiled and nodded. I want that too. We sat on a bench by the lake to rest. A gentle breeze carried the faint scent of flowers. It felt incredibly comfortable. Fong Zheng, do you still remember? The first time we confessed in the piano room. Bai Ruxue leaned her head on my shoulder and asked softly. I smiled. Of course I remember. How could I forget? You were crying so cutely back then. You're not allowed to say that she lightly punched me, her cheeks turning pink. Wasn't it because you made me angry? All right, I won't say it. I laughed and held her hand. But honestly, that day was the happiest day of my life. Mine too. She lifted her head to look at me, her eyes full of sweetness. From that day on, my life completely changed. Over there, Shi Yang and An Nian were fooling around. Bai Ruxue and I looked at them and smiled at each other. Youth is truly wonderful. Having the best friends. Having the person you love most. Everything is so beautiful. After the graduation gala, we were about to leave campus. Step into our own futures. The night before leaving, I took Bai Ruxue to my rented apartment. Meow Meow was still there. The moment it saw us it ran over, rubbing against our legs, meowing as if welcoming us home. Meow Meow seems to have gotten fatter again. Bai Ruxue squatted down, gently stroking Mao Mao's head, smiled and said yes. You feed it too many treats every day. I laughed. When we go to Shanghai we'll bring it with us, okay? That's perfect, she nodded. I couldn't bear to leave it either. That night we stayed at the apartment for a long time. We packed our things, reminiscing about high school and university bit by bit, talking about so many memories. Fang Zheng, do you think we'll manage okay in Shanghai? Bai Ruxue asked with a hint of worry. Of course it'll feel strange at first. It's a completely new city after all. I smiled, but it's fine. As long as we have each other, there's nothing to fear. I'll work hard, give you a warm home. I believe in you. She looked at me, her eyes filled with trust. I'll work hard too. We'll do it together. I nodded, and pulled her into a tight embrace. The day we left campus, my brother and Su Yue came to see us off. Little rascal, once you're in Shanghai, take good care of yourself. And take good care of Ruxue. My brother patted my shoulder, his voice full of reluctance. Don't worry, brother. I've got this, I nodded. Su Yu also looked at Bai Ruxue. Once you're in Shanghai, if anyone bullies you, you must tell me. I'll fly over immediately. Got it? Bai Ruxue nodded, her eyes slightly red. We boarded the high-speed train to Shanghai. Watching the scenery flash by outside the window, my heart was filled with anticipation and hope. Shanghai is a dazzling city. Skyscrapers everywhere, traffic flowing like rivers. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment in the city center. It wasn't big, but very cozy. We brought Meow Meow with us. It quickly adapted to the new environment, running and jumping around the house every day. Extremely happy. I found a job at an internet company. As a programmer, the work was tough, but I loved it. Every day when I came home from work, seeing Bai Ruxue and Meow Meow, all my exhaustion melted away. Bai Ruxue also found a job at an art school, teaching piano. She loved the work. She was happy every single day. Her students adored her, often praising her in front of her. Our life was simple and full of happiness. Every morning we woke up together, ate breakfast together, then each went to work in the evening. We came home together, cooked dinner together, watched TV together, took Meow Meow for walks together. On weekends, we went shopping together, watched movies together, strolled in parks together, or invited Shi Yang and An Nian over. Shi Yang and An Nian had also settled in Shanghai. Shi Yang started a small tech company. It was hard at first, but through his effort, it gradually got on track. And An Nian worked as a designer at an advertising company, doing very well. The four of us often gathered, talking about work, talking about life, just like when we were still students. Once while eating together, Shi Yang suddenly said, Fong Zheng, you and Ruxue have been together so long. When are you getting married? I was stunned for a second, then immediately looked at Bai Ruxue. Her cheeks turned pink. She lowered her head without speaking. Yes. When's the wedding? And Nian chimed in. I'm still waiting to be a bridesmaid. I laughed. Soon once I save enough, I'll propose. Bai Ruxue lifted her head to look at me, her eyes full of expectation. Actually, I had already planned the proposal. I rented a venue in the mall near the company, prepared a big surprise for her. On our 3-year anniversary, I left work early to set everything up. The place was decorated very romantically, roses and balloons everywhere, a huge screen, playing photos and videos of us. I even invited Shi Yang and Nian, and both our families, to witness this important moment. That evening I brought Bai Rushui to the mall. When she saw the setup she froze. Her eyes instantly turning red. Rushu. I got down on one knee, took out a ring box from my pocket, opened it revealing a diamond ring. We've been together 3 years, from elementary school to university, from campus to the real world. We've been through so much together. I like you. I love you more than I love myself. I want to be with you for the rest of my life, grow old with you slowly, give you a warm home. Bai Rushui, will you marry me? Bai Rusho looked at me, tears falling endlessly. She nodded. Her voice choked. I will. I will. I slipped the ring onto her finger, stood up and held her tightly. Applause and cheers erupted around us. Shi Yang and Nin, and our families all blessed us. Congratulations. Shi Yang patted my shoulder. You finally succeeded. Thank you. I smiled, my heart overflowing with happiness. And Nian hugged Bai Rushui emotionally. Rushui, congratulations. You're finally getting married. Thank you everyone. Bai Rushui smiled, tears still falling. We set the wedding for 6 months later. In Bai Rushui's hometown, the wedding was lively. Many relatives and friends attended. On the wedding day, Bai Rushui wore a pure white wedding dress, beautiful as an angel. As she walked toward me step by step, I felt like I was dreaming. Fang Zheng, congratulations. Marrying such an amazing wife. My brother patted my shoulder. Thank you brother. I smiled, my eyes never leaving Bai Rushui. Rukshu, from now on take good care of yourself, and take good care of Fang Zheng. Bai Rushui's mother held her hand, tears in her eyes. Got it dear. Bai Rushui nodded. During the ceremony, we exchanged rings, and made our vows for life. I vow to take Bai Rushui as my wife, in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health. I will forever love her, care for her, never leave nor forsake her. I vow to marry Fang Zheng as his wife, in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health. I will forever love him, support him, never leave nor forsake him. Simple vows, yet carrying our love and promises to each other. After the wedding, we went to the Maldives for our honeymoon. The scenery there was breathtaking. Blue sky, white clouds, turquoise sea, golden sand, like a fairy tale paradise. We strolled along the beach, sunned ourselves on the sand, swam in the ocean. Every day was pure joy. Fang Zheng, do you think we'll stay this happy forever? Bai Rushui leaned on my shoulder and asked softly. I held her hand tightly, smiled. Of course. We definitely will. As long as we have each other in our hearts, as long as we keep loving each other, we will always be this happy. She nodded, a sweet smile on her face. When we returned from the Maldives, our life settled back into calm, but that calm was filled with happiness and warmth. 1 year later, Bai Rushui became pregnant. When I heard the news, I was so excited I nearly jumped for joy. I held her and kissed her forehead over and over, my heart full of anticipation. During her pregnancy, I took even better care of her. Every morning, I made nutritious breakfasts for her. In the evenings, I told her stories, walked with her. When morning sickness hit, I patiently cared for her, pouring water, wiping her mouth. Bai Rushui's belly grew bigger. Her face glowed with maternal happiness. Every time she felt the baby kick, she would grab my hand, place it on her belly, letting me feel our child move. That feeling was magical, pure happiness. 10 months later, Bai Rushui safely gave birth to a little girl. Our daughter looked just like her, skin white as snow, arched brows, smiling eyes. Absolutely adorable. I named her Fang Niang Shui, meaning I would forever cherish Bai Rushu. With our daughter, life became busier, and even happier. Every day when I came home from work, seeing our daughter's sweet smile, all my tiredness vanished. Bai Rushui and I raised her together, changed diapers together, fed her together, played with her together. Though exhausting, we were both overjoyed. Shi Yang and Nin also got married. They had a little boy, the same age as our daughter. We often brought the kids together, watching them play, our hearts filled with joy. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, our daughter was 3. She was lively and lovely, like a little tail, always following us around. One day she suddenly asked, Daddy, how did you and Mommy meet? I smiled, scooped her into my arms, and told her the story of me and Bai Rushui. From the strawberry candy in 3rd grade, to the rainy night after the college entrance exam when I stayed with her, from our confession in the piano room, to our struggles in Shanghai, to our happy life now. Our daughter listened intently, her eyes sparkling. Daddy, you really love Mommy a lot, right? Yes, Daddy loves Mommy very much. I'll love her my whole life. I smiled and looked at Bai Rushui. Bai Rushui looked back at me, a sweet smile on her face. The sun was setting in the west. Golden sunset light bathed us, warm and beautiful. I held our daughter and grasped Bai Rushui's hand, my heart overflowing with happiness. I knew this was the life I had always wanted, having the person I love most, having an adorable child, having the best friends, simple yet full of happiness. I thank heaven for letting me meet Bai Rushu, thank her for walking with me through more than 10 years of wind and rain, thank her for always believing in me, supporting me, thank her for giving me a warm home. The road ahead is still long. I will forever hold her hand and walk on together, watch sunrises and sunsets together, watch tides rise and fall together, grow old slowly together. I believe our love will be like aged wine. The longer it lasts, the sweeter it becomes. Our life will be like a blooming flower, growing ever more beautiful. The end.